What's going on, guys? My name is Marcel Flores. Welcome to my YouTube channel, One Dapper Street. Today I want to talk to you guys about how to maximize the lifespan of your clothes by storing and washing them properly. Today's video is sponsored by LG, and I'm actually really excited to introduce you to a product called the LG Styler that is going to impact the process in many different stages. The 5 stages are storing, refreshing, washing, drying, and lastly, finishing your clothes. Let's get started with point number 1, how to store your clothes properly. Now, you obviously have 2 main options, and that's folding or hanging. Folding your clothes is an art in itself. I personally use the Marie Kondo technique. She's the author of a book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, which goes beyond just clothing, but it's a really nice technique that allows you to minimize wrinkling of your clothes while you store them, as well as having a visible access to all the clothes in your wardrobe. So I highly recommend you look more into that if you fold a lot of your clothes. The one thing I always fold would be sweaters, because any loosely knit sweaters or tops in general will get hanger marks if you hang them. You may have noticed this yourself in the past, so make sure that you fold all your sweaters. In New York, I also fold my pants. It's a really nice and easy way to stack those pants and have easy access to all of them. The other alternative, of course, if you have the space, is to hang your clothes. I hang here in LA as much as I can because I have the space, it's LA. And one thing that's really important to me is having high quality hangers. Some of the thinner ones, they might break on you. They might have some hanger marks even on the pieces that aren't loose knits, a little bit more rigid, but honestly, I personally like these wood hangers. But find a happy medium that gives you the stability and still maximizes the space in your closet. Last thing with hanging, make sure to avoid direct sunlight because that means it will fade your colors and it's not something you want for your closet. Now, refreshing your clothes is something most guys don't necessarily think about. For me, in the past, that was always a steamer, which we'll talk about more later. But this thing with the hot steam takes off any body odors from your clothes. Cue the LG Styler. Yay. This thing is basically a steam closet. It has many different functions which we'll walk through as the video progresses, but since we're on the refresh part of the video, the main cycle I want to be pointing out is the refresh cycle. If you put that on light, within 20 minutes you can refresh your clothes, just pop them in there, and then it doesn't feel like you're wearing the clothes you just wore yesterday, but you have a much more refreshed feel. I don't want to take a big detour, but I want to show you the inside really quick. The way it's set up, you have 2 moving hangers up here that vibrate and shake out any wrinkles and help the steaming process. You also have a pants hanger so you can easily recrease your pants while refreshing them. That for me is often the reason I will find myself going back to the dry cleaners just to recrease my pants, much simplified with the LG Styler. The last thing you see is this rack down here, which is for your foldables, and if you paid attention to part 1 of this video, you know that that's primarily your sweaters, but it can also be sheets, blankets, and plush toys, something we'll get to a little bit later, that allow you to easily refresh them. With refreshing, you maximize the time you have between 2 wash loads. Let me give you a specific example. So I covered the refresh cycle. The pants crease cycle is a separate one, but you can also download your own cycles specific to your needs. One of those would be the athletic uniform cycle, and that's something that's great because with gym wear, for example, I don't want to wear my workout gear once and then have to wash it every day if I work out on a daily basis. With that dedicated cycle, you're fighting that problem and you don't have to wash your gym wear on a daily basis. Now, you can only refresh your clothes for so long. Eventually you're gonna have to wash them, so it's really important that you guys know your care labels. I know oftentimes they just look confusing and overwhelming and you even want to cut them out, but please use them. Take a look, specifically the wash settings. You want to find out whether your clothes can be machine washed or should be hand washed, and if they can be machine washed, at which temperature. So hot, cold, delicate, or hand washed. Please make sure that you know what you're doing. Many pieces that are hand washed, since I don't really have the time to hand wash my clothes, will go to the dry cleaner, and I think you pretty much know what goes to the dry cleaner in general. You've got your suits. That's probably not something you want to throw in the washing machine. Most dress shirts are gonna go to the dry cleaners, and even some more delicate knits can go to the dry cleaner. It's not a necessity. You can wash them on cold or on a delicate wash, but I prefer to dry clean them from time to time. I think it's essential to find a good dry cleaning place, so try a few out if you're moving to a new area. You want to see that they actively and properly remove any spots or dirt that is on your clothes, and overall you want to see that they smell nice and refreshed, that everything looks nice, and going back to the creasing, that your pants are creased nicely. Those are a few pointers when selecting a good dry cleaners. The LG Styler does not wash your clothes, but what it does do is sanitize them. It is certified to remove germs and allergens from your clothes. So assume you're hyperallergenic, that's a great benefit of the LG Styler. But another scenario, let's say you have a kid. and your kid has their favorite plush toy, like the Cos X Uniqlo plush toy. That's my favorite plush toy. You don't have to throw this little guy in the washing machine. You can pop it onto this rack to not only refresh but actively sanitize, which is a major benefit when we talk about children's health and an overall plus for the LG Styler. Another great example for sanitizing would be if you buy a vintage piece from a secondhand store or a vintage store. You know that it usually has that smell. Some people like it, but I prefer to throw it in here, have it refreshed, and properly remove any germs that a previous owner may have put on the coat, jacket, whatever it may be. Now, once you've washed your clothes, you're gonna need to dry them, and that's, I think, the biggest mess up for especially many guys out there, is not knowing what to throw in the dryer and what not to, and how to properly air dry. Those are the two main options when you have a wet piece of clothing in front of you. Either you throw it in the dryer or you air dry it on a drying rack. Once again, please make sure to check out the care label. It will tell you whether you can put it in the dryer, and if so, at what settings, whether it's hot, medium, or just an air dry, like a tumble in the dryer. Please make sure to consult that, because you will ruin a garment if you disregard that information. When it comes to air drying, you can get a drying rack from pretty much anywhere. Mine is 20 bucks off of Amazon, so there's plenty different options, but you can go for the cheap ones as long as you know how to hang your clothes on there. If you have any fabrics that are a little bit more delicate, a little bit more stretchable, make sure to not hang them on just one of those thin rods, because once they dry, you'll have that crease in your clothing. What I do is I put anything that's a little bit more delicate over two, and then if you want to be really extra like I am sometimes, I'll set a timer after 1 or 2 hours and just move it a little bit so you don't have those two creases in that exact same spot. The LG Styler is a hybrid between the two. You have the gentle dry cycle in this appliance that allows you to air dry your clothes within 2 hours. So obviously it does not have as much load capacity, but here's the scenario. It's Friday morning, you're trying to go out Friday night, and your outfit's just not ready. You need to throw it in a washing machine. You wash it in the morning, it's not gonna be dry by the end of the day. You throw it in here, 2 hours later, you've got your clothes and you're good to go. Another use of that function is the rain and snow gentle dry cycle. So if you step out from outside, it was raining like crazy, your outerwear is soaked, pop it in here, and a little while later, you have your clothes back and ready to hang into the closet drip-free. And last but not least, I mentioned it briefly earlier in the video, the moving hangers of the LG Styler allow it to shake out some of the wrinkles. This is somewhat limited to the fabrics that you're throwing in there. Cotton is a fairly rough fabric, so it's gonna have less of an effect there, but other fabrics work seamlessly, so that's another great way to take the wrinkles out of your clothes. Last but not least, we have to talk about the finishing process. Once your clothes are dry, how do you actually make them look as pristine and new and crisp as they once were? And the main options are ironing and steaming. Honestly, the main option is ironing, because I don't think a lot of people consider steaming in the first place. Ironing is kind of an art. I feel like a lot of people don't know how to properly iron something. It can be a little bit iffy to get the right angles, to get all parts, especially of dress shirts or of pants. So it's a little bit of an art, but I would invest in a proper iron. It does make a difference whether you have a $20 iron or an $80 iron, and really learn how to use that. But for me, for the past years, the first thing I would go to would be my steamer. You can also use the LG Styler for that, for smoothing out your clothes, but a steamer is able to handle most fabrics, so I definitely recommend a steamer. If not an industrial grade steamer that you can't even get at a Best Buy or Home Depot, then at least the consumer alternative, because I think the steam just handles the clothes better, it's easier to operate, and overall it just has that refreshing factor that I mentioned early on. And that about covers today's video. I know it was a little bit heavy on the LG Styler, but it honestly impacted so many of those steps for me. I'm happy to have it in my closet, so I wanted to tell you guys about it. Overall, maximizing the lifespan of your clothes means you buy less new clothes, so you're doing a small part towards sustainability while saving time and saving money. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know comments down below, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, as always, stay dapper. Bye y'all.